So this is part 2 of my lessons learned on putting in my third set of open web floor trusses on the third floor. Be sure to watch part 1. The reason why there's part 1 and part 2 is because today it's a really hot day, so my iPhone got too hot, overheated, and shut down. So it's later on in the afternoon. Anyways, where I left off was I was talking about how I'm going to have my welder come back when he works on some other stuff, and we'll put some rebar across there welded on both sides, because I still need to pour another 4 to 6 inches of concrete. It'll just be kind of a belt and suspenders to keep that in place in the unlikely event. Well, actually, I live in an earthquake zone, so there will be an earthquake. All right, some of the other lessons is one of the things that I did. So on the other Glulam beams that are downstairs in the basement, my dad and I actually put them in by hand. And getting up on that ladder over there, lifting up those heavy 15-inch Glulam beams, that was kind of sketchy. So this time we went ahead and used the crane, and so I did measure several times. So the good news is on my Glulam beams, they are the correct length. And in setting it up this morning with the crane, first we put in the steel beam, and then I actually put in this Glulam. I screwed it in on both sides, there and over there, and the reason why is because over here it was just free floating. Now it was still attached to the straps on the crane when I screwed it in, and the reason why is because I wanted to make sure that when my welder put in that saddle that it was in the correct spot. So so the screws, I mean, you can see most of it was being held by those posts, but the screws held it in place so that he was able to weld in that saddle. Other lessons learned. So I don't pour my walls first. Those are actually empty walls over there. And so I need for my open web floor, I need for the Watkins hangers, the metal that you see there, I need it to be supported. And so I've got 2x4s underneath. And I also have, the reason why they are going across the tabs is because on this particular side, it's just into foam. So I need to be able to screw it into plastic tabs. Over here on this other side, I ran out of time last night and I didn't have a chance to go buy these 10-foot 2x4s that I just barely got back from Lowe's with. And so instead what I did was I went ahead this morning and put in some 2x4s going across the tabs, and that seemed to hold the weight up just fine. And then you'll also see that I've already started to shim just a little bit because of the extra height. I have my laser level that I will be getting everything laser level to fix this mistake of having the steel beam higher than the Glulam. I'm glad it's that way because it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to go ahead and screw in my 2x4s into that Glulam beam. And then let's go ahead and come over here and I'll talk for a minute about the Glulam beam going into the wall. So let's go up and see. So I'm gonna need to get my jack. I didn't have my pressure treated wood. The engineer calls out for a piece of pressure treated wood to go underneath the Glulam beam because the pressure treated wood actually goes in and touches the concrete. So I didn't have that in place. I will be jacking up the Glulam beam to swap out this piece of 2x12 with another piece, but we'll go up. You can see that I have painted it with the rubber membrane because it's also going to be poured in place, and so we'll use the vibrator around it to make sure that it gets consolidated very nicely. Down there you can see that my angle iron got pushed out a little bit, so when I put in the 2x12, I'll be putting it back in, and then I've got those J-bolts that keep the whole thing in place. And then the structural engineer has me do some Simpson ties on the edge to basically make it so that Glulam beam is attached to the 2x12. 2x12 is attached to the angle iron. And then I'll show you one more thing that I was so excited to see this morning. It was actually my first time getting all the way up to the level of where our second floor is going to be. So this is one of the reasons why I'm calling it Legacy Views, because here on the second floor, all of the windows, we'll be able to see over the rooftops of the houses. We can see the mountains to the south. We'll have windows up here on the second floor so that we can see these mountains to the east. And then the most magnificent view is the one to the north. All of the windows along the entire house will just have spectacular views of Mount Timpanogos. And across the street, not as good of a views, but we can still see the West Mountains out there. So now just picture, still have the third floor to go up. It'll be interesting to see if we'll be able to see the lake over in that direction from the third floor. And if not, we still have the rooftop deck, which will be another about 13 feet above the third floor. And we should be able to see the lake at that point. So anyways, you want to follow along on this crazy journey. So I do this DIY 48-foot tall multi-generational passive ICF house. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.